Okay folks, this is the Land Rover Discovery.
Saved about 500 bucks. You save about 1,000 plus.
To work out cheaper for me.
3,000,
215, even more.
Facebook for 200 bucks. 400 bucks of savings.
Now, do they still call this the Discovery Sport? I don't see any Discovery Sport branding. I only see Discovery. Do they no longer call it? Oh yes, this is the Discovery Sport. Now, reviewed this car before. That was the one before this. Oh, this was the heavily facelifted one. No matter how, it looks beautiful. Okay. It's a very, very good looking car. Like all Land Rovers are. Okay. Let's stand further away from the car. I think Land Rover is one of the companies that found a fantastic design direction for their cars, and then they stick on with it, and they slowly improve upon it. These are the headlamps, very distinctive, and I think they have to thank the Evoque for creating this design language, and then the whole range just follows suit after that. Right, very good looking designs. Look at that. Right. Curiously, I've never seen something like that before. One black panel here to do what? I've never seen anyone putting a plastic panel on top of a metal hood for no apparent reason apart from design. Yeah, but it's styling nonetheless. Okay, so some design items as well. They no longer serve any purpose. Blacked out B pillar, reverse angle C pillar, very trendy. You know, wrap around black D pillars to give a floating roof design. Dual layers, integrated brake lights here, and overall it's a very good looking car. Discovery Sport, Land Rover. So Land Rover themselves has a little bit of a confusing separation between their brands. It started with the Evoque, alright? So we all know the brand is Land Rover, and then they have different models, right? They have the Discovery, they have the Range Rover. But when the Evoque arrived, it is such a good looking car, they decided to charge a premium for it. And in order to justify charging this premium, they put it as like a baby Range Rover. They positioned it as Range Rover Evoque. And that created a dilemma of a separation between the brands until today. So now they try their very best to split aside Land Rover and then Range Rover. So under Range Rover you have the Range Rover Evoque, you have the Range Rover Velar, and then you have the Land Rover Freelander, the Land Rover Discovery, and the Land Rover Discovery Sport. But the Range Rover is also within Land Rover. So it's a silly, confusing mess for a company of this size. You know, people don't just choose within your range. People choose between you and your competitors. That's why it doesn't make sense to purposely trim down some of your cars just to justify your own silly positioning. It no longer makes sense. Alright. Okay, so it's a good looking car from the outside, and even though the positioning, they try to make this look like a bigger segment than the others. Okay, let me tell you this. This is, they call it the Discovery Sport, right? But back then they only have Discovery, which is a 7-seater, but it's built on a leather frame chassis. So it's a very tall car. You literally need to climb into the car, right? And then they use the same platform to create the Range Rover Sport, like a baby Range Rover, which is also on a leather frame chassis. Okay, but look at the Sport. It is now using a monocoque chassis, and ingress egress is just dead simple. I love going in and out of SUVs because I don't need to climb up, just drop myself in. So you can see this as the 5+2 version of, see that? There's another seat over there of the Discovery. Alright? But in terms of usable size for its 5-seater configuration, I would say this car is no different in size compared to an X3 or a GLC or an XC60, apart from the fact that it has 2 extra seats at the back. You know, it is essentially the same size as those cars. Then this creates a dilemma. What is the Evoque then? How do you separate the cars? So with Land Rover purposely splitting Range Rover and Land Rover, they created a dilemma for themselves. Now you have the Discovery Sport almost reaching the size of a Range Rover Sport, and actually more legroom at the back, you know. And then you have one that is slightly smaller, which is the Evoque. Do they need that many cars? That begs a question. To compete with one BMW X3 and a sloping roof X4. So if Land Rover don't fix this crazy positioning strategy, they will not make money. You know, see, it has a large boot. But is the boot any bigger from a GLC or an X3? No. But it has added functionality. 2 more seats at the back. You know, even their own aircon controls at the back for rear passengers. That's very, very good. They get their own air vents at the back. So this makes this car one that really respects the +2 at the back, with their own air vent control on both pillars. Alright, a lot of functionality going on here at the back. Tonneau cover. The tonneau cover can't be hidden within the seats. I mean, even Volvo couldn't find space for it, especially when you have a complex mechanism behind here that allows the seats to fold fully flat. In fact, actually all SUVs should have 2 added seats at the back. Don't you think so? Given the fact they are family cars. Alright. You get Meridian sound systems. These are really chunky, soft touch, proper injection molded materials. Not the hard plastics that Mercedes use and then just put a thin layer of leather on top. This is proper, nice materials being used. Alright? And this creates an illusion of carbon fiber, but it's alright. But fit and finish is just so-so, I would say. Especially compared to proper Range Rover standards or Land Rover standards. That's the thing with this stupid positioning thing. They have to find a material that isn't as plush as their big brother Range Rover Sport, where in fact consumers are not comparing between your car and your own same range. They are comparing it with other cars, right? See, this is properly well made. This lacks a control over here, so you don't get the middle zone control, but it's alright. Air gets blown behind here, you know. And of course the Discovery's positioning is slightly more rugged, you know, than the refined Evokes. And I've always loved Land Rover cabins. I love their exterior design, I love their interior design, and I always find that Land Rovers have interiors that are better built than Jaguars. Alright. So, we've gotten very familiar with the new Land Rover interior. Oh, let me take off the mask. With the Land Rover interior, you know, with that big touchscreen on top, and then a secondary screen down here, and then the floating dials on top of the screen, right? And wouldn't it make sense for them to mass produce or mass order that screen, right? No, now they decided, oh, this is a Discovery Sport, you know, why should we give you the thing that you want, which is that beautiful screen with two dials on top? No, we're not going to give you that. We're going to just give you a gloss black touch sensitive panel and two dials that looks like the one that your neighbor has in his Range Rover Sport or Evoque. You know, why do this? There's no reason to. Again, you're not competing amongst your own models. You're competing with Macans, you're competing with X3, GLCs, Q5s. That is one of the best selling point of modern Land Rovers, to be honest. Steering wheel, great. You know, it's nice to have this design over here. And I love steering wheels that have a top and bottom leather surface with a rim in between. I don't know why, maybe aesthetic purposes, I just like them. But in terms of the girth of the steering wheel versus the size of the wheel, the girth should be a little bit thicker. You know, it's a bit too thin, and the thin girth makes you feel that the wheel is even larger. Alright, but I like the distance, I mean the reach. You see, you can rest your elbows here and then you can rest it here for long distance driving. So it's alright, it's pretty nice, pretty ergonomic, you know, everything is good looking, the design is good looking, and every surface you touch is considered plush and nice. Again, I have to say the fit and finish somehow, it retains Land Rover standards, but decidedly a little bit more plastic than they used to, you know. And there are some Jaguar components over here, and over here, this amount of space, this large swath of space was reduced to just one functionality that doesn't even need all this, because a simple PRND button would have sufficed, because these are all drive-by-wire stuff. And traditionally you have the dial, the terrain control mode, right? That's a user experience as well. I mean, coming from other cars, you go into a Land Rover, you see that thing, and it speaks to you what this car is about. And all you're left with is an F-Pace gear lever or F-type gear lever. You know, you don't even have that gear lever that rises from the, a lot less dramatic, I would say, you know. And then two cup holders here, very big, very rugged. You can put your Venti or Grande Starbucks over here. Very deep glove box. No, center armrest, micro SIM, two USB ports, and 12 volt socket, another 12 volt socket here with a charging, and there's wireless charging as well down here, so pretty generous. You get heads up display, you get panoramic roof, which I absolutely love, frameless rear view mirrors, and I think this car has ADAS and all that, lane keep assist, this mechanism, hilarious mechanism, you know, where you actually use this to slap on the on-off switch to turn it on and off. This is on and then it's off because you slap on it. Whoever designed this, it's just amazing. It must be a Russian that designed that. You know, only a Russian can come up with that. For SUVs of this size, it would be good to have two sunglass holders, you know, because your passengers would do traveling and all that pretty often. I just noticed the air volume, you know, because of the slim outlet. I only at 3 levels is already producing a little bit of noticeable noise, but granted, that's nitpicking. You get paddle shifters, and oh, yesterday I realized when I was driving it, this has got to be one of the most premium feeling stocks. You know, thank God, because BMW, Mercedes-Benz, for some weird reason, has been cost cutting their stocks. You know, these are things that we use very often in a car, and it helps if it's nice to the touch. You know, it gives you a premium feel when it's a nice gear stock or wiper stock. I hope these two stocks can be in my Aston, because my Aston has some of the cheapest stocks from Ford Focus as well. I mean, if you look at the new BMW G20 and all that, they have cut costs on their stocks. You know, these are touch points that you use most often. A car, you know, your steering wheel, your gear lever, and your stocks are, and your door handle. All this, don't cut costs on these things, because these are things that we most often touch. All right. So control is pretty straightforward. Everything is easily understandable. Do you notice something just now? The legends were different. After I press it, it comes out to a different thing. I think that's why they use sort of like a display thingy, you know. So left, right, selects all this. There's a little bit of a lag there, but negligible, I would say. Okay, and I don't see any controls to change the design. Maybe it's in there, but I see a plethora of controls. You know, I can enable or disable heads-up display here. I can adjust my collision avoidance, steering assistance, all this from the car, from this screen itself. A ton of control. I can even switch off the passenger airbags from here alone. So this thing is gonna be used. Oh, it's also touch sensitive. Are you serious? Why? Do you notice that? I'm not touching it, I'm just scrolling on it. I did not know that this is touch sensitive. No, it's not sensitive when I touch the angle. It's only touch sensitive when I scroll it. Wow. Wow. That's surprising. And over here, very straightforward, media, phone and all that. Get a volume knob. Alright, nothing much. So a lot of in-car stuffs are not here. They are instead over here. This is almost like a 2DIN then, or an Android player. What? Why is the interface like that? Okay, yeah, it's a bit slow. It is slow. It is slow. The graphics processors are slow. Can't be that slow, right? Or I can't go into the camera. Why? Why can't I go into the camera? I understand, yes. Oh, I can change what? Low traction. No. I don't want that. There's little feedback when you press things. Maybe it's something that I can set, but it's actually very slow. Never mind. Alright, so let's go for a drive, shall we? Alright. Hope the car drives well, because the e-Pace was utterly disappointing. And in terms of the drivetrain, the handling is alright, but the drivetrain is disappointing. And I hope this is better, but even though I know it has the same drivetrain, you know, 2-litre turbo, 8-speed transmission. How much is the car? 400,000 ringgit. 400,000 ringgit. Ouch. But it's a good looking car. It's a very, very good looking car. You know, but the XC90 is good looking as well, right? 200 horsepower, 320 Newton meters of torque. Hardly amazing, but not stuffs that we need every day because it's not a sports car. Alright. Overall, alright. Dynamics. Is that it? That's the brochure? Anyway. So whether it's 8-speed or 9-speed, I don't know. Let's drive and we'll know. Okay? Cheers.
Thank God that the brothers on the rise now. Endless celebrations all in